Depending on how I go about this doesn't have to be personal, but the only example I need to make is something about my own personal life. And it won't be anything like too drastic or even too insensitive. This is about me most of the time, and even then it could be a lot about the topic itself for the wrong reasons. But we'll see how we go about that. Excuses, lame or not, locus control, within our locus of control or outside or not, and etc. etc. dot etc. etc. dot. We're going there. Let's start with etc. We're going backwards. When you think of the phrase etc., for the Roman Latin for etc. means to continue or something. Don't take my word for it. That was actually bullshit. For the first time, I actually was full of it. Contrary to what my brother thinks. Very too personal, but still. Anyways. Or even if I actually believe I didn't get to do what I wanted or deny my past positive negative experiences, different than that. Also could be personal, but etc. could be excused, again, from the first item of 3. Could be excused, a lame excuse even, of not listing what you could have listed in the first place. Even if you didn't want to elaborate too much or talk too much, you still could have listed the prime examples. If they call it key information for still being key without being too much, then of course people who say that too much information or too little information would neither be the thing. Whether it was a flexible way to move the car or the horse, to turn it around 180, locus of control, indeed. A lot of these topics in the same video, this video at least. The locus control for that excuse and etc. That is what they mean by etc. You could just make the list itself be short and still make it sweet. And then you can still list it if you need to. But don't make the excuse, etc. if you didn't actually list anything in the first place or even not enough. It could be lazy, could not be lazy. Could be excuse, could not be excuse. Let's go backwards again. Locus control. I use the analogy of Scooby-Doo and the opponent horse from Ocarina of Time and any automobile, telephone, book, paywall, payphone, automobile, telephone, airplane. Any car or horse reminds me of locus control because I think of it in terms of I want to have a fast enough reaction speed with or without making any, as formerly, first of 3 items, any excuses, lame or not. I want to be someone who does not make excuses regardless of whether they count as reason or not. Inherent reason, created reason, and then still had my own way of working things out. I want to have that better reaction speed. I don't want to be jealous or envious of that forever. Or time immemorial. Time immemorial to eternity, whether something was actually eternally correct or not. Guaranteed not. And if you think that sounds weird enough, then let me tell you this much. I never meant to be a bad person, okay? Never meant to be. Never meant to even waste anyone's time. Never meant to be that kind of guy who was ineffective for the wrong reasons or even truly effective for inappropriate reasons, okay? Anything like that. Going backwards one more time into lame excuses or just excuses. What's the difference between a reason and excuse, you may ask? I don't even know myself, but the only personal example I'll make this entire video, other than what I just said in the first 2 minutes, is that there has been this thing I had to do. I could disclose this a bit easier over time. It's not that I'm not well known on YouTube, but it's still different. There's this thing I had to do every Thursday where I missed every once in a while. I actually commit truancy to even that core stuff. As you know, some of you close to me know, I was a truant in high school a little bit towards the junior year. So that's the emphasis that gives me. Is like being a truant in this thing I paid for every other Thursday, sometimes not every Thursday, when they already know who I'm like in one of the sessions. And it's like, it'll be daunting to see me get a refund and then have to deal with not getting those courses again. That's the worst case scenario. But like, if they just invite me back in or they don't have to care anyways, but they still care otherwise, different energy of that. I have to figure it out. My example of that kind of workshop could be as form of lame excuse. If I don't go either, because the best, in my opinion, the best case scenario is to go without telling them, because at least it wouldn't have to be an excuse to say I would go, not go. But if I go without telling them, even if I surprise them, it'll still be better that way. And that's only personal and private and doxing and public for the reasons I emphasize as the exception to the rule to people who are confused that I'm the exception to the rule when they make examples of things that they think are universal or generalistic. Never use generalism as its own excuse to depict who could not be an exception. If you don't know what I mean by that, let me put this in other words. In other ways. Communication skills, right? And boundaries. We want to have boundaries without making them silly, and we want to communicate properly, clear, concise, and boldly without making that look bad, okay? That was my trauma alone, whether it was real or not. But I hope I don't make excuses for what I do better with or worse with, okay? We do better anyways, however slimy or staticky, these things get. How awkward and weird and unusual life can get and too real life can get. That is what we work with. One more minute. No end card necessary. This is like my sixth upload today, and I like to do 6 videos per day, but I don't know how to get past telling someone the truth and being kind to them and that not being enough. That is personal too, by the way. That's a little bit personal for me. But it's private and public and doxing and boundaries and all that things. Respect, whatever. I don't know why it's never enough to be honest and sweet to people, and the give inch take mile thing reigns supreme. When I make real excuses and I am hard on myself and ever feel guilty and remorse for things, when that day ever comes, whether that makes me look like a douchebag or not, when that day finally comes where I admit that to myself that I made mistakes and regrets, whether I did everything for a reason or not, I will do or do not try making excuses, okay? Yoda was still wrong that there is no try, because you do not hide from not trying. When you don't try, you're actually hiding.